For today's video, I'll be sharing with you a little bit about how I took what was supposed to be a throw, turn it into a bandana style shawl, and save this project from the frog pond. So if that sounds like just your cup of tea, grab a cup of tea or something cozy and refreshing, and let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Knitting Podcast. My name is Taylor, and I will be your host. I am excited to be here with you guys today because I have a really fun project, finished object that I want to share with you that kind of just came out of nowhere. If you watched my last video where I shared with you a little bit of process behind decluttering my yarn stash, you may already know what I'm talking about, but I'm really excited to kind of share not only that project, which you happen to be seeing here, but how I decided to go about keeping it as it already was as opposed to finishing it and using it as a really pretty bandana shawl. But before I dive into any of that, I do want to give you a couple of updates. First things first, when I did that decluttered destash video, I had mentioned that I would be having a destash over at woolneedleshands.com, and I absolutely am going to do that. However, as opposed to what I had previously said I was going to do, which was Saturday, and if you're watching this when it goes live, that was yesterday, I'm actually pushing that to Wednesday, this coming Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And that's because this weekend is my dad's 80th birthday celebration, and we have a lot of family in town, so there's a lot of hustle and bustle going on. And when I'm recording this, it's actually Saturday. I'm getting ready to go to my dad's 80th birthday party, and so I really just wanted to put some things off and not have so much stuff going on while we had that celebration going on. So you can watch for my destash coming Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. While you're over at woolneedleshands.com, don't forget to check out the merch shop. There's lots of fun conversation starters over there, and it's a great way to support your favorite knitting podcast. You can also sign up for the newsletter there. I send out a monthly newsletter that you may enjoy. I also have a small collection of patterns, and you can find all of the show notes for most of the videos here on the channel over there as well. Also, many of you already know that I am the owner and dyer of Fiber for the People yarn, and I am having a shop update Saturday, July 8th at 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It will be a 4 colorway collection inspired by the photo that you see here, which I am calling Mid-Century. You definitely want to check it out. The yarn is going to be gorgeous. It is a 50% cotton, 50% merino base in both a 4-ply and DK weight. If you would like to know more, head over to @fiber.for.the.people on Instagram, or you can always learn more at fiberforthepeople.com, where you can also sign up for that newsletter. Okay, I know that a lot of you are excited to hear just a little bit more about the shawl that I'm wearing now, and I do have a little bit more to tell you, but I want to give you a quick update on my Hollows shawl. Now, we know that Taylor is becoming a shawl person, folks, and I have a lot to talk about in the upcoming videos because I am absolutely going down that shawl knitting rabbit hole. Having this finished, even though it kind of really doesn't count as like an official finished object, and I'll explain more about that in a little bit, but also having a lot of progress on this project here, which is a shawl, is just giving me lots of really fun shawl vibes, if that's even a thing. But I'm loving this. I'm loving shawl. Like, I am converted. Shawl person, and I'll talk more about that in just a second. But this is where I am on my Hollows shawl by Melody Hoffman. It is living in my JesabelleB Project Bag. This is a gorgeous armlet project bag by JesabelleB. This is part of her La Rouge collection, which is inspired by her grandmother. It is a beautiful leather project bag that is so supple and absolutely wonderful. I will link to this down below if you would like to learn more about this project bag, but it's one of my favorites. Living inside of here is my Hollows shawl, like I said, by Melody Hoffman, and I am making great progress on this. And so I wanted to just give you a little quick peek at that before we start talking about the one I actually am wearing right now. So here we are. This is called Hollows by Melody Hoffman. It is a little bit difficult to display because it's all crunched up on my needles right now, but I'm loving this pattern, you guys. It is such a fun knit. I love the different sections that this shawl has. There's short row sections, and then there's some garter stitch. There's kind of garter ridges and texture going on in here. I am just crazy about this design. I talk a little bit more about this on the previous episode of the podcast if you would like to hear me talk more about it. I love it. It has something stuck to it. It's an easy knit. There are some techniques in here that might be new to you if you're a newer knitter, but it is absolutely doable if you are a beginner knitter. I just love it. It's definitely comfort knitting. There's enough going on there to keep it interesting. It's great. And I have finished my first short row section. So do you see where in the middle there it kind of narrows out and there's some shaping going on? That's created from short rows. And like I mentioned in the last episode, when you do these short rows, there are turns that you have to do to create the short rows. And those turns create little eyelets running along this edge right here. I don't know if you can see it with the light coming through. There's little teeny tiny holes underneath these big eyelets up here that you can see. Those are created by doing turns for your short rows without wrapping your stitches, and you get these little, can't see them right there, they're right here. Yeah, let's see if I can, yeah, you can kind of make them out right in this area here. But that is, it's hard to show you here, but that is what you get when you do short row turns without wrapping your stitches. And a viewer had contacted me letting me know that she had emailed Melody Hoffman to ask about that and to see what the, you know, I think she had some questions about the pattern, but she asked her about that. And it is indeed her intention there was to do the turns without wraps to leave those really pretty little delicate eyelets in the fabric. And I just think that is so great. I really, wanted to be able to show you what those look like now that I have a little bit more progress, but it's kind of hard to see. I don't know. You might be able to see the little delicate eyelets underneath those more beefy eyelets. It's beautiful. So I am loving this. I am knitting this in Fiber for the People yarn. This is that 50% merino, 50% cotton base that's coming to the shop on Saturday. It is a superwash merino and cotton, and it is glorious. I love this yarn. I love the feeling of the cotton in there. I can definitely tell there's a good amount of merino, 50%. It just feels really, really good. And this color, I know so many of you guys, sorry, this cake is not very presentable, but I know a lot of you folks really loved this color. I'm crazy about the color. This was dyed for a shop update collection 2 shop updates ago. This is the color Water. I will be bringing this back in Saturday's update on July 8th. I will have not only the colorway, I will also have it available on this yarn base as well. I'm going to kind of fit that colorway into the mid-century collection because I know so many of you were asking about it and I'm kind of crazy about it too. And I feel like if I'm going to talk a lot about this shawl, I should give you an opportunity to possibly purchase your own yarn for the shawl as well. So I love it. So that is what I'm working on. It's the whip I am reaching for right now, and I'm crazy about it. I look forward to working on it. The only reason it's in this project bag right now is because I've been taking it back and forth to my parents' house as we celebrate my dad's birthday and then the hockey rink as well. But most of the time I have the project sitting out on the ottoman of my armchair in the living room, and I love being able to see it there. I just pick it up and start working on it, and it's just lovely. Okay, so if you watched my last video where I shared with you kind of me decluttering my yarn stash, you saw me pull out a big basket of minis and leftovers and samples from Fiber for the People. Lots of different little minis of various different colors. And I was talking about how I was possibly going to put those together into kind of a mystery bundle of samples and put it in my D stash. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to do that. Actually, after I did that video and I had all of my D-stash set out and the baskets where those minis were left and all those different samples, I started to think about it more, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. I also read a lot of comments where folks were like, hold on to those for a while. You might find that you want them and that you don't want to give them away, or if I were to sell them, I would regret it for whatever reason. And so I decided to hold on to them a little bit longer. I'm not de-stashing those just yet. But when I had found all of those scraps, I kind of unearthed a whip that I had had on the needles for quite some time and realized it was one I had no intention of finishing. And it's the one that I'm wearing right now. So this is actually a heavily modified, chopped in half Habitation throw by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. The Helen Stewart pattern, the Habitation throw pattern, is beautiful. And if you want a really lovely lightweight throw that you can knit using your scraps or even a solid color, it's a fantastic pattern. And possibly in the future, I may knit one completely. But with this particular one, it just wasn't, I just didn't look at it and think, oh, I can't wait to finish that, or I'm really eager to get back on working on that. It wasn't doing that for me. So I was thinking I was gonna scrap it and add all of those little scraps that went into creating this back into those baskets. But very shortly after kind of making that statement on that video, I realized that I don't want to do that. That in fact, I would rather take what I have of this Habitation throw, bind it off, and turn it into a little bandana shawl. And that is exactly what I did, and I'm so happy that I did it. Now, one of the things that I had said in that video, and I'm just gonna hold it up, this is pretty much what I had of the Habitation throw. And I feel like that's about maybe just less than half of the Habitation throw because it's a square. And when I looked at it in that video, my justification for not wanting to finish it had a lot to do with the color and the scrappy nature of the project and how I'm not really drawn to projects like that. And that is very true. I'm really not very drawn to projects like that. But then upon second look, I realized that it's absolutely not the color because I really do love these colors together. And I took time when I started working on this, coordinating these colors so that when I would knit this, they went together. They looked nice together. I remember laying them out and like the whole thing, making sure that they would coordinate. And so I do really love these colors and I do love them together as well. I think what it was is that I just didn't want to continue with a scrappy project. I felt like I didn't have that drive to carry on. I don't love working on scrappy projects. I don't love the ends that you have to weave in. I don't love the yarn management, but I do love the way that this looks. And so I did decide very shortly after saying that I wasn't going to keep it, I decided that I would bind it off. And I'm really happy. I'm really, really happy that I did. I love the fabric that this creates. It kind of seems like, I mean, it's a similar weight and gauge as the hollows that I'm working on, but for whatever reason, because it has this I-cord edge, I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see that I-cord edge there, it gives the whole blanket a little bit of a heft. That's nice. I don't know, I'm really happy with it. I love it. So what I did is I just bound off where I had left off. So this is essentially where I had left off. I stuck my needle back into the stitches and I bound off. And that's it. This is what I had left, is this giant triangle. I blocked it. It's been blocked. And it's like the perfect bandana shawl. The only thing is, like the long side of the triangle, I don't think is the ideal length for the length of the triangle moving down. So when I wrap this around my neck, and I'm watching myself on the screen down here, that's where I'm looking. These little ends, I feel like ideally speaking, and when you're talking about construction of shawls, you would want these ends to come down a little bit lower to be a little bit more proportionate to the length of the shawl here. So this comes down pretty long and these only come down like, I don't know, like 2/3 of the way down the full length of the front. But it doesn't matter, right? Like it doesn't matter at all because it goes around my neck and it's super comfortable. And I kind of like the deep set length of this portion of the shawl. It gives it like, I don't know, like a real luxurious bandana look. You can tuck these little parts in here where it doesn't even, doesn't matter if you can see them or not. Like how cute is that? And then I also was messing around with it and you can kind of roll it up like this and throw it around. And then you get even more, like this would be for more like colder weather. Right now it's warm outside, so this wouldn't work, but it thickens it up around your neck. And then you have these guys that hang down a little bit longer. You get a little bit better proportion. And then you can even like tuck those. I don't know. I'm not like the best when it comes to styling shawls. Maybe I don't love that, but you get my drift. There's lots I can do with this. And I think right now I just kind of really like to put this, like fold this part down just a little bit, grab it around here, there, just like that. Just like real simple, like throw it on, simple. And I love this so much. I'm so happy I decided to keep it. And it also grew a little bit with blocking as things do. So it really opened up. So I'm even getting more space with this than I did in that video when I tried it on around my neck. I think it's fantastic, you guys. So this is, I don't know, my Habitation shawl. This is not the way the Habitation throw is intended to look. Just so we all know, this is heavily modified, but I guess I would call this my Habitation shawl. That's what it is. It's beautiful. I love it. I love the colors. I love the way it feels. It's not super warm right now. Of course, I'm inside wearing, a sleeveless top. Maybe so many of you that were watching that declutter video and it sounds like shouting at your TV screen, don't frog that, don't get rid of it. I must have heard you, because here I am with my second finished shawl ever, and it happens to be something I decided to finish on a whim, and I'm so happy about it. So yeah, those of you who have maybe wanted to knit the Habitation throw and now you're seeing this and think, why not knit halfway through the Habitation throw and turn it into a shawl? Do it. It's great. I love it. Or knit the entire throw, because that particular throw is gorgeous. Okay, the last thing that I wanted to share with you guys today was just a quick update on this big bundle of yarn that you see right here. Now, if you have been watching the podcast for a while, you know what this yarn is, but this is a pretty hefty investment of yarn from Green Mountain Spinnery that I had placed, or I had made, I don't know, like 3 or 4 months ago, with the intention of knitting a sweater for my husband. Well, in that declutter video, I had talked about de-stashing this. And it felt so just not great. The idea of de-stashing this, it's such new yarn. It's a whole sweater quantity. It caused me to doubt. I just didn't know if I was ready to let it go. And a lot of you were kind of disappointed, not disappointed, but some of you let me know, like, oh, don't get rid of it, knit, a different pattern, or just keep it because you may find that you have something in mind that you can use with it. And so that's what I decided to do. So what I did is I went to my husband and I told him, listen, I can de-stash this yarn, no problem. I'll put it in my de-stash. I'm sure somebody would love to take it into their home and use it. I can definitely do that. But if you think this is a color that you would like to wear, I can knit it into a solid color sweater in this color if you like the way that this yarn feels and you think that this is a color that you would want to wear. And I made sure that he knew the point of all of this was to have him be brutally honest with me, because I didn't want to hang on to it if it was iffy for him, because I don't know for myself what I would knit with this. So this whole thing. Anyway, turns out like he totally loves the color and he would like to have something with just this as a solid color, which reinvigorated me. So I immediately went over to where all of my de-stash yarn was, which included this at that time, and I took it away like I was rescuing it from some kind of future, whatever, unknown future, and I stuffed it back into my yarn stash, and I was motivated to find just the right pattern for this particular yarn. Not a color work pattern, something that would be easy to wear, something at a better gauge than what I had originally planned, that again would be kind of effortless to wear for my husband, really comfortable. And so I went back, put this in my stash, grabbed my phone to browse through Ravelry, to really, not even to browse, but to really peruse Ravelry to find just the right pattern for this particular weight of yarn that is simple and seamless and top down, that I will enjoy knitting and that my husband will definitely enjoy wearing, and that will let this really beautiful color kind of be the star of the show, because it is a really gorgeous color. It's kind of like that blueberry blue color. There's a little bit of red in there. I love it. So that's exactly what I did. And the pattern that I found, and I wrote it down, it's called the Top Down Seamless Men's Sweater, and it's by Kyoko Nakayoshi. And this is a pattern that's available on Lovecrafts. You can find it on Ravelry, but it links you away to Lovecrafts to purchase it. I believe she's based out of the UK, and I really love this design. It's kind of like an effortless style. It looks very easy to wear. And in fact, I want to read to you the description of the pattern because I feel like it was answering exactly what I need. Like it was giving me exactly what I was looking for. And I love that. Okay, so it is the Top Down Seamless Men's Sweater. And it says here this pattern is seamless, knitted from the top for men's sizes ranging from 36 to 48 inch chest. You would need circular needles to do this pattern. The pattern is designed to achieve 3 objectives: simple design, something that keeps you busy and is enjoyable, a finishable knitting project. And I'm thinking, like, was she reading my mind? And it says this top down men's saddle shoulder sweater pattern is constructed in a unique method. It is also seamless, so there is no need for you to sew up at the end of the knitting. A project that is fun and something that fussy men would wear. I mean, come on. She was speaking to me. She was sending this pattern out into the universe for me back in 2010. That is the one that I have found for this yarn, and I'm really happy to kind of be at a place where I'm no longer trying to improvise a sweater. I'm no longer worrying about whether or not a color work sweater is practical for my husband. I'm just gonna knit a really nice solid color top down, not raglan, but saddle shoulder sweater that will look fantastic on my husband in a colorway that now I know he really does truly like. So that's a win. Loving that. So all of this beautiful yarn is not going into my D-stash. I'm going to be hanging on to it, and I feel good about it. All right, folks, that is it for me today. I'm off to celebrate my dad's 80th birthday with family and friends. I am so thankful that you took the time to hang out with me today. I hope you took value from this video, and if you did, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe and click that bell icon for more content that I upload every Wednesday and every Sunday. And until Wednesday's episode of the Midweek Ramble, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon.